Some voices do more than speak. They settle into your bones. The moment you hear the calm, gravel-deep tone of Sam Elliott, something inside you slows down. For more than 50 years, that voice has carried stories across American cinema, turning simple scenes into something unforgettable. Yet, the path that built that presence was never quick or easy. Elliott was not the overnight star Hollywood loves to celebrate. His career unfolded slowly, shaped by patience, persistence, and a quiet refusal to disappear. For years he was the actor people recognized, but couldn't quite name, the tall man with the mustache who seemed born for the American West. What audiences eventually saw as iconic was, in truth, the result of decades of steady work. Behind the calm voice and rugged screen presence was a man learning year after year how to remain true to himself in a world constantly asking people to become something else. A childhood shaped by quiet distance, Sam Elliott was born on August 9, 1944 in Sacramento, California. His father, Henry Nelson Elliott, worked for the California Department of Fish and Game, a practical man who believed in stable careers and steady effort. His mother, Glynn Mamie Sparks, brought warmth and gentleness to the household. On the surface, it was a normal American upbringing, but, like many families, certain emotions stayed unspoken. Elliott admired his father deeply, yet approval rarely came easily. Henry believed success came from dependable work and clear paths, not uncertain dreams. As a boy, Sam often felt the quiet pressure of trying to prove himself. The family later moved to Portland, Oregon, where Elliott grew up surrounded by forests and open landscapes. Nature became a place where expectations softened and the world felt simpler. Those early years didn't give him fame or recognition, but they gave him something else: space to listen to his own instincts and imagine a different future. Discovering a dream that felt real, when Elliott eventually attended college in Oregon, he discovered something unexpected: a love for acting. Watching classic westerns had already stirred something in him, but performing on stage made it real. Acting felt honest, a way to explore human stories and emotions. When he told his father he wanted to pursue acting as a career, the reaction was cautious at best. Henry Elliott struggled to see acting as a stable future. Their disagreement wasn't dramatic. It was quieter than that. But the weight of that doubt stayed with Sam. Eventually he transferred schools and worked practical jobs, including surveying land, trying to follow a more traditional path. Yet the idea of acting never faded. It kept returning, stronger each time. In the mid-1960s, Elliott made a choice that would shape his entire life. With little money and no guarantees, he moved to Los Angeles to try his luck in Hollywood. The long years of being almost discovered. Los Angeles was not welcoming to newcomers, especially those who didn't fit Hollywood's expectations. Elliott's rugged look and deep voice didn't match the typical leading men of the era. Still, he kept working wherever he could. He waited tables, parked cars, and auditioned constantly. Small television appearances came along, guest roles on shows like Gunsmoke and Mission Impossible. In 1969, he even appeared briefly in the famous Western Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. The role was tiny, easy to miss, but it placed him on a real film set beside major stars. Even then, recognition didn't come. For much of the 1970s, Elliott lived in the frustrating space actors call almost. Almost cast, almost remembered, almost successful. Yet he refused to quit. Each small role became practice, quietly preparing him for the moment the industry would finally notice what he could do. Personal loss and quiet determination. In 1970, Elliott received news that would shape him deeply. His father had passed away. Henry Elliott never lived to see his son succeed in Hollywood. For Sam, that absence lingered quietly through the years that followed. He rarely spoke about it publicly, but the impact was clear. Instead of discouraging him, the loss seemed to deepen his determination. Acting was no longer just a dream, it became something he needed to see through. The struggle continued throughout the decade, but small steps forward began appearing. In 1976, Elliott finally received his first leading role in the film Lifeguard. Though the movie wasn't a major hit, it proved something important, that he could carry a story on screen. For the first time, people in the industry began to see that the quiet actor who had been appearing in small roles for years had real depth and staying power. A love story, far from Hollywood drama. While Elliott's career slowly moved forward, something even more meaningful entered his life. During the filming of The Legacy, he reconnected with actress Catherine Ross. Years earlier, they had briefly crossed paths on the set of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, where Ross was already a well-known star. This time their connection grew naturally. Their relationship developed slowly without the spectacle often attached to Hollywood romances. They married in 1984, building a life together away from the spotlight in Malibu. That same year their daughter, Cleo Rose Elliott, was born. For Sam, family became a grounding force that balanced the unpredictability of his career. While Hollywood's success still felt uncertain, his home life provided something stable and meaningful. In interviews over the years, Elliott has consistently referred to Ross as the love of his life, a statement delivered simply, without embellishment. Breakthrough moments that changed everything. By the late 1980s, Elliott's patience finally began paying off. His role in the action film Roadhouse introduced him to a broader audience. As Wade Garrett, he brought a calm authority that instantly captured attention. Audiences began asking the question casting directors had overlooked for years: who is that actor? The recognition continued growing through the early 1990s. One of his most memorable roles arrived in the western Tombstone, where Elliott portrayed Virgil Earp alongside stars like Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer. His performance was steady and grounded, giving emotional balance to the film's larger-than-life characters. From that point on, Elliott became the actor filmmakers called when they needed authenticity. He didn't dominate scenes with flashy performances. Instead, he anchored them with quiet realism. Recognition that arrived after decades of respected work. One performance finally brought Elliott the widespread recognition many believed he had long deserved. In the 2018 film A Star is Born, directed by Bradley Cooper, Elliott played Bobby Maine, the older brother of a struggling musician. His performance was subtle, yet deeply emotional. Without dramatic speeches, he conveyed heartbreak, loyalty and regret through small expressions and quiet moments. Critics and audiences responded strongly. The role earned him major award nominations and introduced his work to a new generation. For many viewers, it felt like discovering a remarkable actor they somehow hadn't fully appreciated before. In truth, Elliott had been delivering performances like that for decades. The difference now was that the spotlight had finally caught up with him. Learning and growing through public moments, like anyone with a long public career, Elliott has also experienced moments of reflection and learning. In 2022, comments he made during a podcast interview about the film The Power of the Dog sparked widespread discussion. Many listeners felt his remarks were unfair. Elliott later addressed the situation openly and acknowledged that his words had been misguided. Rather than avoiding the conversation, he expressed regret and listened to the responses that followed. Public figures, like everyone else, sometimes learn through moments of disagreement. What mattered most was his willingness to acknowledge the impact of his words and move forward thoughtfully. For a man known for authenticity, responding honestly rather than defensively reflected the same straightforward approach he has carried throughout his life. the enduring lesson of Sam Elliott's journey. O'Day, at 80 years old, Sam Elliott represents something rare in modern culture, authenticity that never needed to be manufactured. His career proves that success doesn't always come quickly, and sometimes the most meaningful achievements arrive after long periods of patience. The deep voice, the iconic mustache, and the calm presence audiences admire are only the surface of a much deeper story. Beneath it all is a man who spent decades believing in his craft, even when recognition seemed distant. His journey reminds us that persistence can shape a life just as powerfully as talent. Sometimes the world simply takes time to notice what has been there all along. And when it finally does, it discovers something genuine, exactly what Sam Elliott has always been,